as some of you guys know, Resident Evil 4, very well received, right? Everybody seems to love it. It's very, very good. A tasteful remake that didn't seem greedy or heavily monetized or anything. It was just like a good game. They came back, they did it, they did a great job. Well, Capcom has decided to do something a little surprising. Resident Evil 4 Remake has added microtransactions to upgrade weapons quicker. The upgrade tickets cost $3 each or are sold in multi-packs for $7 or $10 a piece. This came with the update for the Mercenaries mode. The free Mercenaries mode DLC is added to the game today, but it's also been accompanied by 11 new pieces of paid DLC called exclusive upgrade tickets, each letting the player speed up the upgrade process. Quote, to gun enthusiasts, knife collectors, and lovers of weapons of any and all kinds, the DLC description reads, here's your ticket to the gun show, specifically a ticket to be redeemed at the merchant's shop. With this, you'll have access to a weapon's exclusive upgrade at any time, regardless of the weapon's upgrade or level. Not only that, but once unlocked, the upgrade itself is free of charge. This item will be added to the treasures menu and will be available across all of your saved data. Each upgrade ticket costs $2.99 or £2.49, and there are also a number of multi-packs letting players buy 3 or 5 tickets at a discount. In total, if players were to buy everything, they would get 23 upgrade tickets at a total cost of roughly $55 or £46. There was no indication from Capcom that microtransactions were being added to the game. They just did this out of nowhere. Also releases the Mercenaries, the fan favorite Resident Evil mode, which arrives as free DLC. Has a number of stages. Each stage starts Leon off with all of his weapons. Players have to kill as many enemies as possible within a time limit. And they did announce that it has sold 4 million copies in its first 2 weeks. Now, on this, I think there's two ways to look at it. On the one hand, you can say, well, they sold the game already to everybody, and they only added this stuff after, like 2 weeks after the game's launch, so probably after most people have finished it. And this is the kind of game for a lot of people, they're going to play this game once or maybe twice and then be done. So what's the big deal? Like, who's being harmed in this? Well, if you ask the question, who's being harmed by it, you also have to ask, like, who is this targeting? Who's buying this? And that's one thing I honestly am not really sure about. I really don't know who this is designed for, because the tryhards who are going to be doing like multiple run-throughs on New Game Plus are going to be trying knife-only runs, are going to be trying all sorts of craziness. They are not going to be buying this stuff because, of course, that's technically cheating. It's pay to win. Pay to beat the game earlier. And I have no problem with like cheat codes in single player games. It's fine. It's whatever. It's multiplayer games where that's a problem. But at the same time, like, it's not geared towards the hardcore fans who have played the game already. So it's clearly geared towards players who are new, who have not played the game in the first 2 weeks, and maybe buy like the deluxe edition that might include some of these, or when they buy it on Steam, they pick up a couple of these. And to me, that just it just blows. it just blows. I don't know how else to put it. I don't know who this is targeting other than trying to get new players who buy the game in the next few years to spend a few bucks on one of these. And I mean, maybe what it is they designed this and they were going to include it day one. And then like close to the launch, they said, no, we don't want the blowback. We're going to cut it and we'll update the game after the fact with it. Maybe that's what, but I don't know. It's really freaking weird. At the end of the day, it's just freaking weird. I can't think of another example of a game that has done something like this recently, because like, I don't know. This kind of microtransactions, I don't have a problem with these. I mean, at the end of the day, it is paying for weapon upgrades. If we're gonna like make fun of Ubisoft for putting in XP boosters to speed up progression and weapon upgrades and things in their games, we have to call them out here for it as well. Just because you really like Resident Evil 4 doesn't mean that you should just excuse this. You know, like you have to be consistent in this. LMAO, Capcom has some weird microtransactions. Luckily, you never need them. And if you're new, assisted mode. Yeah, well, and that's where I'm also like further confused. It's just, it doesn't really make sense why these exist. Was this really like maybe Capcom executives were like, no, we need pay DLC microtransactions in the game? And the devs were like, okay, we'll figure something out. And they put these together, even though really nobody should be buying these. Like, I can't imagine people will be buying these. The biggest problem, and to be fair, the reason why we really call out Ubisoft for those XP boosters and monetization boosters and like gold redemption things is because they seemingly bloat the game to encourage you to buy those boosters, because then the boosters make it so it's not as grindy. That's at least the sort of conspiracy theory with it, is that they do that so that you are more inclined to pay for those boosters because it's so inconvenient not to have the boosters. However, in this case, everybody agrees Resident Evil 4 is just a really solid game by itself, and then they tacked this stuff on it. But either way, they're adding a system where you can pay for weapon upgrades. And that's technically pay to win, and that's just not great. That's not great. This is like the best way, as far as I'm concerned, that you could introduce something like this, because other than this, like, the other option would be launching the game with these. And if they had launched Resi 4 Remake with these microtransactions, you better believe it would have gone viral. It would have exploded. Moist would have made a video on it. It would have been a whole thing. Whereas now they can kind of sneakily tuck them in. I still don't know who's buying these or who would, but at the very least, it's more subtle. Let's see. I always see it as they don't hurt me. If it's single player, they can have it. Nothing is taken out of the game for me. Same with UB games, only don't make games grindy to sell like Odyssey. Well, exactly, Dante. And the question is just, at what point do these microtransactions enter into the discussion of game balance? Because, for example, one way this could go bad, and one thing, to be fair, there's no news of this, but what Ubisoft probably would have done in a situation like this is they would have introduced these microtransactions and nerfed the upgrades so it takes more resources to upgrade the weapons, so these things become more useful. That's exactly what Fallout did. You remember Fallout, where they went in and they made a bunch of sections of the game more grindy and then sold you the solution with Fallout First? So they broke it and then sold you the cure. Maybe we're going to find out soon that they made the upgrades more grindy with these. I don't know. But I think this is something to keep an eye on. In a month or two, they might actually, or a couple weeks, they might be rebalancing the weapon upgrades to make these tickets more valuable and more useful. And they'll do it very sneakily. Somebody's going to discover by like being super familiar with the game and testing it. But I would not put that past them, because otherwise, who the hell would buy these? It wouldn't make any sense. But that's why, like, if you're going to be greedy and sneak these things in, usually they're doing it to make money. And if there's no way to make money as they currently are instantiated, I would guess there's going to be an alteration or something done to make them more profitable or to push players into buying them. So either way, like, granted, that is conspiratorial. That is me speculating, because as of right now, I don't know a single human being that would buy these tickets. But if they made it more grindy, they could push more players into it and then offer you the solution. Because like, oh, it's really annoying upgrading weapons. Well, if you want a fix, here you go. They give you one for free in your inventory at the start of the game by default. And then they toss you a little pop-up that says, hey, if you want more, they're available in the shop for $3. You know? That's why you need physical games. They won't rebalance if you play the offline version, disc version on PS5. It's true. It's true. Offline hardware or offline games and copies of games fix that problem. But a lot of devs in the past, not just Ubisoft, but a lot of devs have gone back and rebalanced games after the fact to make their monetization more desirable. So don't think Capcom is above the is above it. They totally would. They totally would. He took my thing.